Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia. Welcome back to another episode of our Season 4 Subscriber Game Tournament as we continue here in Round 1 for Group C. And in our second match, we have Beihai Butchers in the green versus Crossface Mace in the red. And taking a look at their composition, starting with Beihai Butchers, we have an army led by Sun Jian, Mu Lu, and Zhang Jiao. And there are some very efficient unit choices on all of these generals. One handmade guard to provide that guard passive for the general's 25% damage resistance. And then we have 4 of the Wolf Pack, which are cheap but high speed and high charge bonus spear infantry. 2 Southern Elephants because they're cheaper than the War Elephant. I think that was a issue of limited funding. And then we have 6 Messenger of Heaven, the double size cavalry on Zhang Jiao. And then moving to Crossface Mace, we have an army led by Liu Bei, Zhang Fei, and Zhang Liao. So this is an interesting army comp that's not often seen because Liu Bei typically have weak unit. Now Crossface may solve this problem by going with very premium units shared by the same commander class. We have 2 Protector Heaven and 2 Yellow Dragons. Then for Zhang Fei to facilitate his roar ability, he went with cheap cavalry options. And then finally on Zhang Liao, we have Qingzhou unit, 3 that are good against cavalry and 3 that are good against infantry. And we'll see how these army comps play out on the battlefield. Now, as we load into game here, we can see a pretty standard deployment. There's a slight forward deployment by Beihai Butchers. The Wolfpack are sent to the front. They do have a javelin that they will throw as they approach the enemy. And most importantly, they have the Pack Hunter ability, which gives them that extra speed and also the double melee charge bonus, which makes them quite respectable. Essentially a charge bonus of a basic melee cavalry. And then behind them, Messenger of Heaven, the Elephants, as well as 1 handmade guard to boost the generals. Now, if you look at the generals, Sun Jian's unbreakable, Zhang Jiao's unbreakable, Mu Lu's unbreakable. This is actually pretty important because Zhang Fei's Roar is a very powerful weapon. Of course, all the units are still breakable, so if things clump up, Zhang Fei can turn the tide with a well-placed Roar ability to basically get them to rout, and that's where his cheap cavalry comes in to kind of swarm them so that they never bounce back. Aside from that, we'll see if Zhang Liao's ability is going to activate, because just looking at the unit number, because of the heavy cavalry investment and elephant investment, the game's going to think that the green side by Beihai Butcher is the weaker side right now, so you're not going to get the Resolve of the Righteous with the infantry heavy army, and we'll see if that ever activates, if they're down, or perhaps they'll just be strong enough to win, and we'll see what happens. And Liu Bei's not picked because Liu Bei doesn't bring too much. Inspiring Words, it's a buffed up version of the basic Unyielding Earth. You get 25% melee damage instead of 100%, but it's a longer duration, and you also get the melee attack rate boost. Unbreakable is part of Unyielding Earth as well, so there's nothing too different there. King Mu Lu is back on the elephant. Now, despite the D symbol, not all of them counter cavalry. Like this one does not. This one's actually a melee infantry. So if the Messenger of Heaven want to go for it, this is actually a pretty good target. Of course, you want to hit them when they're moving and not braced, because they still have charge negation, which will help them quite a bit. There's no range in this army, so the cavalry can do as they wish to loop around. The quality of the Raider Cavs just not going to match up to Messenger of Heaven, so they can't really go out and go hunt them. Pretty awkward. Feels slightly like sitting ducks getting surrounded like this. But they need to be patient. Oh, this is not a good fight. Messengers can match their charge and definitely fight back. And if you're fighting 1v1, they're double unit size, so it's basically fighting 2v1 at this point. And they're trying to get these 3 to go help with those fights right there. And in long extended fight, I think just the sheer number of the messengers will prove enough. Ooh, an active charge by Qingzhou, however, into an elephant? That's very suicidal. So Zhang Jiao is here to be suicidal, because when he dies, he has the invincibility for 1 minute. So 3, okay. You can see they're winning out over here without taking too much damage. And Zhang Zhao's just looking to die. The elephant's tearing up the infantry. The good news is the Qingzhou units do get that 30 seconds, but once that wears off, I think they're just dead. The handmade guards providing the debuff. Interesting move was going after the unit, so they're leaving only one general here in Sunjian. Is Zhang Fei going to look for a roar? Is there a high value place where the roar can actually happen? Now without those cavalries to chase down the... Oh, he is roaring here. Trying to counter with ability is not going to work because the roar will be applied first. You have to basically read his mind to try to counter with ability. But I mean, in this case, they're on the same side. He's boosting his own unit. The question is, can they chase? If they don't chase, they'll bounce back. That's the thing. They have to chase. So the key target would be the elephant, the handmade guard. They're trying to use the 3 generals to do as much damage as they can to the infantry, and the cavalry can come help. I mean, one of the generals is an elephant, so it's actually going to work quite well. Zhang Fei's going to make sure this unit doesn't bounce back. Wolfpack target. See, they bounce back here, and then that's kind of pointless. Now, there are some premium units over here. It's just that whether they can withstand the AoE attack by the elephant as well as the Flame of the Phoenix on Sunjian. They chose to go help out their one remaining wolf pack, which is going to be slightly useless because you can't activate the bonus by yourself. You need to have a nearby unit. I guess some will bounce back. Now, will Liu Bei use his ability at all to try to maintain his infantry line? Yeah, but you can see that slam ability go down, Sun Jian. He does use it. So a 60-second unbreakable to fight back against the cavalry. I mean, the protector will do okay. These yellow dragons bounce back, but can they do something? Not sure. At this point, Zhang Dao's ability has activated. So their attack speed are super fast. And maybe if there's less match combats, I mean, they're fighting cavalry, so actually they would not get as many match combat, and they can actually have close to their true attack speed. This one's actually close, because these cavalry might have a lot of trouble fighting these, at least during Liu Bei's bonus. After that, then we might see morale shock. Ooh, javelin to a general, but I think he dodged most of that. Ooh, it hurts. Javelins hurt. They're trying to hunt down Liu Bei over here. He's trying to go help. They have beaten back the cavalry, and Beihai Butcher has smartly realized that and started to pull his units away, especially during that buff. Just let them wear that buff out first. Yeah, there's no point fighting them when they have the unbreakable. And the elephant and the wolf pack's gonna do it. Let's see if anyone's dismounting. And Zhang Zhao's just asking to die. Which, I think in that case, Zhang Zhao should not dismount, because that way you can always chase after an enemy general and just constantly harass them, forcing them to fight you. Or else, if you're dismounted, they just ride away from you. That kind of limits your options. But here comes the remaining messengers to come help. I mean, they were technically chasing some routed units, but now maybe they can come over and help. Liu Bei is awfully low. Zhang Dao doesn't have Unbreakable, so once Liu Bei die, we might see an army loss situation. Yeah, because there's not much left. There's one yellow dragon kind of holding the morale together, or else if that unit wasn't there, I think the army loss would have been much higher. And now this is definitely super one-sided, trying to bring down Zhang Dao, and then if Zhang Dao dies, maybe we'll see sort of these abilities go down, and then we'll see some routing. Ooh. Almost friendly fire on those javelins. But yeah, javelin damage is super high. 55 armor piercing, 20 base, and there's like a lot of them throwing at it. Now they're using technically the wrong unit size for the tournament, but this does happen. It's a graphical choice. It does technically buff how good range units are against generals, but I don't think that's what determined this fight at all. So if we look at the casualties here, the messengers definitely won out. I think the decision to charge the cavalry into them is not a smart one. You're basically throwing away your cavalry, and their use in this composition, the core purpose that they exist is that they chase down units that Zhang Fei routes. So they should have just stayed patient with the infantry line and keep the infantry line passive so that they have the charge negations, they have the charge reflections, needed to withstand the elephant charge. And then the decision's made whether you want to hold that roar until the units all clump up in a fight, or you go actively seek out a group of units to use the roar and then chase them down. That's probably to get the maximum value from Zhongfei. In this case, they basically did it after the elephant got through a couple infantry unit, and that made things, less worth it. You either initiate early to take out a portion of the enemy army, or you initiate late to make sure you wipe out the vast majority of the enemy army in one go. So neither happened, and basically that Zhongfei element there was eliminated without contributing much to the fight. There were still kills on those units, especially the some that bounced back and was able to join some of the fight for a short while before wiping themselves out. With the Obey's unit, I think the Yellow Dragons are very fragile things. If they don't charge, they don't get much value. And Liu Bei wasn't able to apply his ability until very late, so we really didn't get to see the infantry fight. I think if Zhang Fei had used his roar early and wiped out, let's say, the elephant plus wolfpack portion of the army and chased those units down, then the remaining unit probably stand a good chance of fending off the messengers of heaven, assuming Liu Bei gets his bonus in, because it's very hard for messengers to kill off those protector of heavens. And then the Yellow Dragon can help the generals fight off the 3 enemy generals, and maybe we'll see a difference. But Mulu got so much value fighting the infantry on his elephant in this battle. Zhang Jiao was also a headache. So at the end of the day, I think Beihai Butchers just had more tools that he can use, and he used his units quite well. He picked very good units for this fight, and that's why he won the battle. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you all next time. Bye!